Good morning. Recently, on January 13th, we hit a major milestone with my new system. We actually made it through a full 24-hour cycle without using utility power. At that point in time, I had added 10 of my new bifacial panels to my existing system, which in the photo back here, you can see my original monocrystallines and the new bifacials. Photo of the hillside there. So that was pretty exciting. So my original setup was just 20 of the 300 watt monocrystalline panels. They've been on my hill about 2.5 years, and they were used when I bought them. My plan was to add an additional 22 of the bifacials, but I have a switchback path and a lot of shrubs up there that I don't want to remove or modify significantly. So for the moment, I have scaled back to only 18 of the bifacials. But even at that, we've been recovering by 1:30 in the afternoon to a full set of batteries. And that's using everything around the house, laundry, vacuuming, the oven, stove, just normal living. So there's a couple technical things I wanted to talk about on the software side. And the software is really an online system. You can use the face of the device, but this is much easier. And I believe I locked the focus, so you should be able to see this. Anyway, I've got it operating in self-consumption mode, and we have the battery set to BMS charge limit of 300 amps is what it defaulted to. Discharge limit of 600 amps. So I have 6 batteries. They really could charge at up to 100 amps from what I understand, but it's better if they're at 50 for charging. Anyway, so that gives me plenty of power to run everything. And my state of charge thresholds. This is, well, let's jump over to the maintenance page. And on maintenance, we'll hit read. And what read will do is collect the settings from my equipment so that I can talk to you about my particular settings. And I am in self-consumption mode, so I'm going to click self-consumption. And I want to talk to you briefly about the charging and discharging. And you can see this says 250 amps is the setting, but I haven't made any changes to that, and you can see on the previous page that it's at 300. So I believe that's an EG4 because all my equipment's EG4, that it's figured that out on its own. But discharging, I want to talk to you specifically about the off-grid and on-grid cutoffs. So on-grid being that you have connected grid power to your inverter as backup power. So if you have the grid for backup power and the grid is live, it's not in a blackout or shut off condition, this is the point at which you want your system to jump back onto the grid and use grid power when your batteries get down to this threshold. So my on-grid, with the grid being alive and available, cutoff, I have set for 21%. This way, if my batteries are down to 21% and then the grid cuts out, I still have a buffer of battery to keep my critical loads alive. And the off-grid cutoff is how deep will you let the batteries discharge when there is no grid available. So what I've done essentially here is between my 21 and my 5% is said, hey, I want to hang on to 15% just in case the grid goes out. So let's say we're having stormy weather for a couple of weeks and I'm just not getting enough light on my panels to recharge my batteries all the way, and I'm slowly burning through, or I've already burned through. I don't want to be in a situation where the grid goes out and I don't have power. There's a reason I have all this equipment. I don't want to be without power. So I'm just keeping that reserved amount that way. Now you can tighten those down to 0 between them. You can't invert the numbers. You can't have it cut off at a higher number on off-grid than on-grid necessarily, but you can make them the same. But for my case, I'm reserving myself 15% of my capacity for that potential condition where we've had a couple weeks of bad weather and I'm just not getting enough light and the grid goes out. Anyway, so that's to kind of explain that on-grid, off-grid thing, because to me in the beginning it wasn't completely clear. What else did I want to talk to you about? So having had that day on the 13th where we made full circle and I had only added 10 of my new bifacial panels, I figure that the 18 is probably going to be enough to get us all the way through the year, including the December solstice. I may still try and find a spot on the hill to add a few more panels, but for now, my arrangement of 18 seems to be adequate, and that's allowing us to operate the house just as normal without any special consideration or, well, I do prefer that we run the laundry dryer during sunlight hours, just preserve the battery for overnight, but really that's a minor thing. So essentially we're living as normal and making it all the way around the clock. Let me jump back to the monitoring. And our consumption today has been 5.1 kilowatt hours, 631 total usage. Feed-in energy, that's basically sending to the grid. We don't do any of that. Importing, however, in the beginning when I didn't have my extra bifacial panels hooked up, we were taking energy from the grid to supplement the difference because it's the winter months. And so we did manage to consume about 267.5 kilowatt hours from the first day I switched on this new equipment. But recently we have not been taking any for import. Like I said, the 13th was the first day, and it's depicted down here. So the 13th, we brought in no power from the utility company. 14, 15, 16, 17, same thing, nothing from the utility company. And then on the 18th, well, we used a bit more than we had available, and so we had to borrow from or buy from the utility company. Again, on the 19th, the same thing. But by the 20th, I had installed the extra 8 panels. And so all the way up till now, on the 26th, we have imported 0 energy from the utility company. So feeling very good about that. Anyway, that's it for now. The main things I wanted to talk about were that cutoff for on-grid and off-grid, and share with you the progress since we've been running now since December 24th. It's been a few weeks and all is good.